Hello guys. Today I thought I'd introduce you to a new project that I've been thinking about for a while and that I'll be working on for the foreseeable future alongside my regular projects. For me this is primarily a modelling project and essentially I suppose it's the biggest diorama I will have ever made. So being a motorsport fan, a month or so ago I bought this Scalextric Grand Prix set. I had some fun with it and I bought some more track. And then I thought it'd be a really nice idea to perhaps put it on a board and make it as a kind of diorama. Now before anything else, don't panic, I'm not changing my channel to a slot car channel or Scalextric's channel or anything like that. This is just a side branch of my current modelling projects. To be honest, I'm not sure if I'll show you many or even any videos from this in the future. It might just be a side project. But given that Scalextric is 1/32nd scale, and therefore so close to the 1/35th scale models that we often make, I can imagine that there'll be quite a lot of crossover between some of the skills that I use on this project and those that I use in my normal military dioramas. So if you do a Google search for Scalextric's diorama or slot car diorama, you'll see some fantastic examples out there, some really top class modelling from everyone from individuals up to companies that make these professionally. And for me they're really inspiring. I understand that I probably won't reach that kind of quality in my work, but I really do like the process of modelling, as you know. So how far have I got at the moment? Well, I've planned out my space, and I'm quite lucky I've got a corner of the spare bedroom, and by managing to keep it relatively out of the way by putting it behind the door, I've managed to come up with this, which is my baseboard area. Ultimately this will be on a table, but this is just the size of it at the moment. It'll be two separate tables. The one on the left here measures 183 centimeters from end to end, and the long end with the two tables together is 266 centimeters, 2.66 meters. That small extension piece, as you can see there, is 82 centimeters wide. The long edge of the red board is 1.9 meters, and the short edge of the blue board is quite small there, it's only 103 centimeters. Of course, so I can get the wood in my car and I can get it up the stairs, I've broken it down into 4 smaller sections. This will probably be 6 or probably 9mm plywood on top. Ideally the strengthening frame will be 2x1s, which is 25mm by 50mm. But I've got quite a lot of spare wood in the garage already, so I think I've got some 1x4s in there, so 25mm by 100mm, which I might use for some of it just to use up that spare wood. Now believe it or not, that is actually not a super large area for a Scalextric track, so I did go through a number of permutations in order to get the most track in the small space, while at the same time having plenty of space left to do some modelling around the outside as well. This was one of my original ideas on a smaller table before I extended it. I had a couple of permutations of this, and then I decided to add that extension onto the table and I came up with this, which I really liked. I really liked that big loop at the top there leading onto the banked curves in the bottom left, and another slightly different version there with the left hand hairpin differently configured. At one point I also thought about running that centre hairpin longer and underneath the original track on a sort of second subterranean level, but I decided against that. Of course I also tried out several of these configurations during this design process. The only problem I had with this version was there wasn't a lot of space around the outside to do any kind of modelling. So with that in mind I changed the track. It looks quite dramatic, but actually a lot of the original elements are still there, into this. So that whole sort of bottom straight and the right hand side is quite similar, but they're hooked up in a slightly different way. And the benefits of this is that it gives me some more modelling space on the top and the left hand side there, perhaps for a pit lane or something similar. This also had a few permutations, of course. The top hairpin was changed slightly, a couple of times, as were the connectors in the centre. Sometimes in a small space like this it's hard to get tracks that actually connect up with the pieces available. And then one final tweak, this time just to that slight chicane before the top hairpin. And this was the version I decided on. So what's next? Well, first thing I need to do obviously is build the board. And that's going to be on a table, so there's plenty of space underneath to store things like my model kit stash, for example. Then I'm going to be using some of those modelling skills that I have already to mark out some areas for terrain. I've already done a little bit of planning in this area, so I'm thinking maybe a pit lane up there on the top left-hand side. Down in the bottom left, that 180-degree corner is going to be banked, and I'm thinking of having above that perhaps a spectator viewing area. A bit like if you've ever seen the Monaco Grand Prix, you're able to sort of sit on the cliffs and look down on the circuit. Something like that possibly. Some of that though will depend on the room itself, because that corner of the room has a sloped ceiling that comes down, and it's very close to the table as it is. Obviously I can make the table lower, but I make it too low and it's a bit awkward to use. We've also got, 4 tunnels on this circuit as well, so we need to deal with those somehow. Decide how we're going to have those, how we're going to have the land in between the tunnels. I would also like to have some kind of water feature on here somewhere. And I think it'd be quite cool if the lake or something, if I have one, was at the edge of the circuit, so you could actually look into the side of it as well as from above. But I'm not quite sure on that one yet. And of course, being a track marshal myself, I want to have a number of marshals posts around the circuit. In terms of setting, I haven't really decided yet. The sort of 1950s, 1960s tends to be a very popular era in terms of modelling circuits. I'm not sure if I want to do that, or more modern, or somewhere in between. Obviously the cars I'm running are fairly modern, they're 80s and afterwards F1 cars, but we'll see. There are a large number of 3D models for 3D printing out there, online, a lot of them free. I probably will use some of those, but I will also quite likely do some scratch building as well. I should also mention that I'll be running this circuit so that it can be run in either direction, so that should expand its life expectancy in terms of the fun that you can have with it. But yeah, that's my overall plan. So yes guys, let me know in the comments below what you think. As I say, I'm not planning to change this to a Scalextric channel or to bombard you with Scalextric videos. I just thought I'd share this little side project that I'm working on and see what you thought of it. I hope you enjoyed the video. As always, thanks to my Patreon supporters and YouTube members. Your support is hugely appreciated. Thank you to everyone for watching. And until next time, have fun modelling.